My sister made me delay my wedding because she divorced. Then I found out she slept with my fiancé, so I gave them a gift that ruined their lives. My younger sister, Jessica, is and always was like my mom from head to toe, unlike me. This became the cause of my mother's resentment towards me. By being like my mom, I mean that Jessica was selfish, greedy, entitled, jealous, and plain vile, while I was quiet, reserved, private, and non-confrontational like my dad. You can only imagine, with Jessica and my mom being the way they were, my family life was a mess from the get-go and the perfect recipe for disaster. When my mom realized that Jessica was a carbon copy of her, I promptly stopped being taken care of. Being the way I am, I never told my dad, who was always out of the country for business. I just played along with the act my mom put up of playing happy family around my dad, only for me to be treated as absolute garbage once he left. I stayed quiet throughout it all because I didn't want the very few weeks that my dad spent here to be in agony or trying to sort out the problems between my mom and me. Eventually, college came around. That is where I met the person who I thought was my soulmate, the love of my life, and my forever. I began dating Scott, and he truly changed who I was as a person. He helped me become more in touch with my emotions, helped me open up, and learn to understand that everything that happened to me wasn't my fault. I really followed after my dad. He was one of the only people I could trust. It was around the same time that Jessica got pregnant with her first child. Yes, she was 17 and decided to keep it with her then boyfriend. The contact between Jessica, my mom, and me dwindled from there. Eventually, I graduated from college. This is when, once again, I had to start playing happy family because my dad had finally taken an earlier retirement from his business. This is when Jessica first met Scott. The two had a very formal relationship all throughout the years. Jessica, in fact, seemed happy for me, so much so that, while she was getting married to the guy she had her first child with and was pregnant with her second, she gave A+1 to get Scott along with me. I was honestly happy with this because, even though I knew most of it was due to the fact that my dad was paying for the wedding, I was simply just happy to be treated as a normal human being with some level of dignity and respect. So, Jessica finally moves out of my parents' place and into her husband's house. I think to myself, what can go wrong from here on? Of course, Jessica being Jessica, it doesn't take long for her to ruin her relationship. Her reasoning for getting a divorce was apparently the fact that her husband wasn't enough for her. She came running back to my parents, now with 2 children in tow. My dad was already pretty mad at Jessica's decision but kept quiet when my mom told her about Jessica's declining mental health. I don't think it'll take a genius to find out that this became the prime reason for my mom and Jessica to excuse her shitty behavior from here onwards, and they really milked it. Starting from day one, I got engaged to Scott. I still remember how it all went down. I had made a Facebook post as an announcement, and my phone immediately started flooding with calls and texts from Jessica, not to congratulate me but to scream at me and berate me for getting married when she was going through so much. I was dumbfounded because it had almost been an entire year since she had gotten divorced, but nope, that wasn't enough. I tried to come up with a middle ground to sort this situation. My dad was out of town during this scene, so of course, my mom and Jessica took full advantage of this, telling me that if I was a good sister, I wouldn't get married for at least another 3 years. I was lost. This became a point of contention between the three of us. Scott always told me that he would agree with whatever I did, so I thought I really had his support. Unfortunately, support was far from it all because, just a couple of months down the line, I caught him lying to me that he was going to work while he was out clubbing with none other than Jessica. I immediately confronted my mom. I knew I was coming to my wit's end, and what my mom said next made me get to my worst point. She told me that it was my fault that my fiancé was out with other women. Jessica had done nothing wrong because she was just trying to cope. I was astonished at this woman's entitlement and knew that I had to ruin her life. So, I first collected as much evidence as I possibly could from my texts and emails with Jessica and my mom. The texts were so many that I didn't even have to explain anything myself. I first sat my dad down and told him everything from the start till the end, the threats and the photos my friends had taken of the two kissing, etc. My dad was enraged. I don't think I've ever seen him this angry before. He immediately confronted my mom and Jessica, and the three of them got into a huge fight where my dad practically kicked the two out of his house. The next thing I did was just a shot in the dark. I just knew Jessica's youngest did not look an inch like her ex-husband, so I emailed her anonymously about getting a DNA test. I honestly did not expect anything to come out of this one, but to my utter surprise, it only took a mere few weeks for her ex-husband to call her up and inform her that he was dragging her back to court because both the children weren't his. Jessica was left weeping bitter crocodile tears because now she is close to no walking bank accounts to take advantage of. Because I did this to her last resort, also known as Scott, I knew ruining Scott would be easy. I simply just posted the picture of Jessica and him kissing in the family and friends group chat with no context. Everyone knew what was up, and it was like ever since then, Scott's life has been a mess. His family refuses to take him into their place after I kicked him out and is also looking into kicking him out of the family business he used to work in. Our friends refuse to talk to him too, and so, of course, since misery loves company, my mom, Jessica, and he have been living in this rundown apartment. All of this happened within the span of 3 months, and I know the aftermath of this all is much more. I was proud of myself for taking revenge for everyone who had wronged me, but now that the ego boost is wearing off, I can't help but feel tremendously guilty for ruining the lives of 3 people. Was I the asshole? I want to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts and perspectives, whether they were supportive or critical. Your words, regardless of their tone, opened my eyes in ways I hadn't anticipated. Looking back, I realize I was carrying a heavy burden, bottling up emotions I hadn't shared with anyone. The isolation of keeping my feelings locked inside was suffocating, and your comments helped me see that I wasn't alone in navigating this complex web of emotions. I needed a space to vent, to process, and to connect with others who might understand the turmoil I was experiencing. Your insights gave me the courage to seek out those connections in real life, and for that, I am deeply thankful. After much reflection, I came to the conclusion that the people closest to this situation, those who might share similar wounds, would be the best ones to confide in. I thought about my dad, Jessica's ex-husband, and others who might have been touched by the same betrayals and heartaches. This realization led me to a pivotal moment, a conversation with my dad that changed everything. We sat down together one quiet afternoon, the warmth of our coffee cups grounding us as we opened up about things we'd never discussed before. I poured out my heart, sharing the guilt and heartbreak that had been weighing me down. To my surprise, my dad didn't hesitate to share his own story, one that mirrored mine in ways I never could have imagined. As we talked, he revealed a truth that left me stunned. Jessica, my sister, wasn't his biological daughter. She was the result of my mom's infidelity years ago. The weight of that revelation hit me like a tidal wave. My dad explained that he stayed in the marriage despite the betrayal because he feared losing both me and Jessica. He couldn't bear the thought of being separated from us, so he endured the pain in silence, carrying the burden of my mom's actions to protect our family. I sat there, absorbing his words, feeling a mix of shock and clarity. It was as though a missing piece of a puzzle I'd been grappling with for years had finally clicked into place. For the first time, I felt a sense of closure, a resolution to questions I didn't even know I'd been asking. The air between us grew heavy with emotion as we continued to talk. I reached out, placing my hand on his, and we both teared up. There was something profoundly healing about that moment, 2 people, bound by love and shared pain, acknowledging the scars we'd carried for so long. My dad looked at me with a quiet pride in his eyes and told me he admired my courage. Unlike him, he said, I wasn't afraid to confront the challenges life had thrown at me. He saw my willingness to face the truth as a strength he wished he'd had years ago. Overwhelmed with gratitude and love, I leaned forward and hugged him tightly, reassuring him that he had done everything in his power to keep our family together. His sacrifices hadn't gone unnoticed, and I wanted him to know that. We lingered over our coffee, talking about lighter things, our plans, our hopes, and the small steps we could take to move forward. That conversation lifted a weight off my shoulders, one I hadn't even realized I was carrying. It was as though I'd been holding my breath for years, and now I could finally exhale. I knew this sense of relief would only grow as I continued to open up to others who understood this journey. Each conversation, I realized, was another step toward healing, another layer of guilt and pain peeled away. A few days later, I had another encounter that shook me to my core. I met with Alex, Jessica's ex-husband, a man who had also been caught in the tangled web of deceit that seemed to define our family. Our meeting was unexpected but necessary, and it turned out to be exactly the kind of wake-up call I needed. Over a quiet conversation, Alex shared a bombshell. Jessica's second child wasn't his, it was Scott's. The revelation hit me like a lightning bolt. Suddenly, memories of Jessica's son flashed through my mind, and I realized how strikingly he resembled Scott. The pieces fell into place, and I was left reeling, my jaw practically on the floor. Alex admitted he hadn't planned to tell me, but after hearing about my struggles from my dad, he felt I deserved the truth. He knew Scott would never have the courage to look me in the eyes and admit it himself, and he was right. That moment of honesty from Alex was another turning point. It clarified so much about the dynamics I'd been struggling to understand. Scott's decision to move in with Jessica and my mom now made sense. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was a continuation of a pattern of dishonesty and manipulation. With every new piece of information, the guilt I'd been carrying began to dissipate. I started to see Scott, Jessica, and my mom for who they truly were, People whose actions reflected their own choices, not my shortcomings. They didn't deserve my guilt or my loyalty, and that realization was liberating. It was as though I was shedding a skin that had been too tight for too long, stepping into a lighter, freer version of myself. As I continued to seek closure, meeting with others and piecing together the truth, I came to a profound realization: I needed a fresh start. The weight of this situation, the tangled relationships, and the constant reminders of betrayal were too much to bear in the same environment. I craved a change of scenery, a place where I could breathe and rebuild without the shadows of the past looming over me. As if the universe had heard my plea, my company offered me an opportunity to relocate to Europe for a new position. It felt like a sign, a chance to step into a new chapter of my life. Without hesitation, I accepted the offer, excited about the possibilities that lay ahead in a place far removed from the pain I'd been carrying. My dad, too, was ready for a change. He shared that he decided to move to one of his properties out of state, a decision that felt like a reclaiming of his own freedom. He was also taking steps to file for divorce from my mom, a process made smoother by the prenuptial agreement they'd signed years ago. Knowing he wouldn't face significant financial losses gave me peace of mind. It was as though we were both breaking free from the chains of our past, ready to redefine our lives on our own terms. As I prepare for this new chapter in Europe, I feel a sense of hope I haven't felt in years. The conversations I've had, with my dad, with Alex, and with others, have given me the closure I so desperately needed. They've shown me that I'm not alone in my pain, that others have carried similar burdens and come out stronger. I've learned that healing isn't a solitary journey, it's built on connection, honesty, and the courage to face the truth. I'm grateful for the support I've received, both from those who know me and from strangers whose words pushed me to take these steps. This journey isn't over, but for the first time in a long time, I feel ready to face whatever comes next, unburdened by the weight of the past. Our mutual friends have shared some juicy gossip about Scott's recent antics. Apparently, ever since Jessica dropped the bombshell that the baby is his, Scott's been sprinting away from responsibility like he's dodging a swarm of bees. It's honestly hilarious, and it just reinforces what a bullet I dodged with him. Can you imagine if we'd tied the knot and started a family? His behavior now is a glaring neon sign that he'd be a disaster as a husband or father. I'm beyond grateful that life sorted itself out and showed me his true colors before it was too late. A huge thank you to all of you for standing by me through this wild ride. I'm so lucky to have your support as I navigate this chapter of my life. Honestly, with the way Jessica, Scott, and even my mom have been acting, it's no surprise they're caught up in this mess. I can't help but feel this is just the opening act of their unraveling, and I'm not shedding any tears over it. Don't you dare let guilt creep in, you're absolutely not the asshole here. I'm genuinely baffled by how oblivious Op's dad was to all of this drama. It's wild to think that Op had to sit him down and lay out every detail for him to finally get it. But props to him for stepping up and having Op's back when it mattered. That kind of support makes all the difference. On a personal note, I'm 22 and working as a software programmer. The job pays well, but sitting at a desk all day has taken a toll. I've packed on some extra weight. I've never been into sports, and things like jogging or cycling just don't spark any motivation for me. I needed something to shake things up, so I took a weekend job as a cleaner at the local mall. I work 5 hours each day, Saturday and Sunday, from 8 a.m. to noon. It's physical work, mopping floors, wiping down windows, sweeping, you name it. The pay's pretty decent, and the real win? After 2 months, I've dropped from 100 kilograms to 96 kilograms. It's not just about the weight loss, though, it's the energy I feel after those shifts. The work keeps me moving, and I'm starting to feel more like myself again. I'm even thinking about mixing in some light home workouts to keep the momentum going, maybe some stretching or bodyweight exercises that don't feel like a chore. It's a small step, but it's progress, and I'm excited to see where this journey takes me. Thanks again, everyone, for being my cheerleaders through all of this. My supervisor at the cleaner job is really good, and he always treats us with nice things like food or movie tickets. I made a lot of friends, too, from various backgrounds. Since I'm working near my neighborhood, a lot of people I know will see me cleaning in the mall. Thus, they have begun to gossip that I lost my job, that I faked my degree, or that I have gambling debt, which is why I need to work 2 jobs. My parents don't really like this and advise me to stop my cleaning job as I'm affecting my own reputation and image. Even my smallest sibling got teased by saying their brother worked as a cleaner in a low-class job. Even some of my friends don't want to be with me anymore due to me being a cleaner. Like, when they see me in the mall, I say hi, and they act like they don't even know me. I recently shared with my parents that I genuinely enjoy my job as a cleaner and find it beneficial to my health. The physical demands of the work keep me active, and I've noticed a marked improvement in my overall well-being since starting this role. I told them, quite frankly, that I'm unbothered by the rumors and gossip floating around. Those spreading tales, claiming I faked my degree or have gambling debts, are simply untrue. I clarified to my parents that these are baseless rumors, and I regret any confusion caused by how I initially phrased things. The people spreading such stories aren't worth my time or energy. Their judgment stems from their own biases, not from any truth. As long as my work is honest and legal, I see no reason for anyone to look down on me. But here's the real question: am I wrong for sticking with my cleaning job, knowing it causes my family some embarrassment because of the stigma attached to it? To that, I say, absolutely not. I'm not the asshole here, and neither is anyone else who chooses honest work over societal approval. We, as a society, need to dismantle this outdated notion that certain jobs are lesser. Every job that contributes to the functioning of our world, whether it's cleaning homes, collecting trash, or maintaining public spaces, has inherent value. These roles are essential, and I hold far more respect for those who perform them with dedication than for self-important types in fancy suits who contribute little to the greater good. My job isn't just a paycheck, it's a deliberate choice that supports my physical health, keeps me grounded, and allows me to connect with new people in meaningful ways. Choosing this path has been empowering. The physical activity involved in cleaning has been a brilliant way to stay fit without needing a gym membership, and I've found a sense of camaraderie with my coworkers that I hadn't expected. The social bonds I'm forming, the financial stability, and the satisfaction of a job well done outweigh any petty gossip from small-minded individuals. Those who waste their time judging others' careers likely have little of value going on in their own lives. By ignoring their noise, I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I've found a role that aligns with my values, supports my health, and brings me joy. If that makes a few gossipers uncomfortable, so be it. Their opinions don't define my worth, and I'm proud to stand by my choice. Keep doing what works for you, and let the naysayers fade into the background. Hi all, I'm a 29-year-old female, have been with my husband, a 30-year-old male, for 10 years, and married for a few years now. We've had a rocky relationship on and off because he has a serious passion for a specific sport, and I often feel like I'm second best to said sport. Not only does he have a job working in his sports industry, but he helps coach a team and, during this season, has practice 3 to 4 days a week and for about half the day on Saturday. On top of this, he is constantly traveling for events during this season, at least 4 multi-day trips, usually more like 6 to 8, and 2 of them are major events, and he's gone 4 to 5 days. I work 2 jobs, part-time in retail food service and full-time as a custodian for a school. Because of this, I get the same breaks as the kids. My husband's 30th birthday is soon, and honestly, my field is barren. I have always gone all out for his birthday. I planned parties, made his favorite meal and dessert, bought him presents and cards, planned trips, and planned events with all his friends, like laser tag. The only time we did something low-key was during the pandemic. On the other hand, my birthday falls right around the 3/4 mark of his sports season, and we haven't ever done anything special for my birthday that I haven't planned, and the last thing I planned was in 2017. He always gets me some presents and a card, but there's no party, no trips, nothing big because he's always too busy with his sport. Most of the time, he misses my birthday itself because he either has practice or he's away at an event. This year, I have 2 weeks off right after my birthday for spring break, and I wanted to do something for my birthday. He asked me about a month ago to pick the sports events that worked best with our schedule. I needed to pick 2 and a backup out of a list of 5 or 6. I said I didn't care, just specifically didn't want the event that is the weekend in the middle of my break. Well, guess what? All the other events were full, so they signed up for the one I specifically didn't want. I'm so frustrated by this, and as a result, I just honestly haven't cared about his birthday this year. We're going on a trip across the country for a big sports event for his birthday, and outside of that, I haven't done anything. No present, no card, I didn't plan a party, etc. He gave me 24-hour notice that he wanted to have a small get-together with some work friends and other coaches of his team and 6-hour notice that this get-together would be at our house. We cleaned the house, went shopping, and I made some of his favorite party food as well as his favorite dessert. The entire time, I honestly felt like the maid. We played some party games, and I didn't understand most of their inside jokes or references. They talked basically the whole time about their sport, and I just ended up feeling left out. So, would I be the asshole if I didn't do anything else to celebrate his birthday? I'm just so burnt out feeling like I put in all the effort, and it's never reciprocated. But I also recognize that I'm a highly sensitive person, and I have autism, so I don't know if this is me overreacting. ETA, I have put effort into becoming involved in his sport before, but I just don't really like it. I spent several years doing odd volunteer jobs or being a ref, and it's just not my thing, and it's not something I want to pour myself into because it's not a passion of mine. ETA 2, I guess I should include that we have talked about his over-dedication to his sport many times while dating, while engaged, and while married. This is not something I've just been stewing over for a decade and getting progressively more pissed off. We've talked about it so much, I'm not sure what is left to say on the topic, but maybe we aren't talking about the right things because nothing ever significantly changes. ETA 3, taken from a comment describing how his involvement has changed over our relationship. He wasn't this involved at first. He was just a coach, and then he got a job at a company involved with his sport, and then he began coaching there too, and then he had to travel more, and then his company started doing their own mini sport event, which he's now involved in. I feel like it's just spiraled to be his entire life, and it wasn't always like that. Not the asshole. You said it yourself, you feel burned out. From what you already said, you're the one putting all this effort into his birthdays, but he isn't even coming close to putting any effort into yours. Don't work yourself to death over his birthdays, doing something nice and small is just as good. It's always the thought that counts. I also don't think it's just about his birthday, your marriage is also at risk. It's been 10 years, and he is so focused on his sport, you feel like second place. You both need to communicate these issues. Not the asshole. You think your problem is the birthday, but it's your marriage.